Okay, so thank you very much. I just want to take you through the basic steps to be able to build your home network. As we know, this is just one of the procedures to be able to build basic network, which is part of the fundamentals of computing that we're learning. So basically, this is just an introduction. Or when you go into a networking class, I think you further have better explanation. But quickly to take you through, once you are able to register, you have an account. So this is my account. For instance, this is my account, and then I have my profile, certificates, and then letters, discount badges, and then this is where I can log out. And you'll be able to see the resources. And as I told you, it is mandatory that on Cisco Packet Tracer you start a basic course. So I've already started a course called Networking Basics, and this gives me the opportunity to be able to go ahead and then download the resources. And so you can go ahead and download the resource. Once the resource is downloaded, for instance, I've already downloaded, but when it's downloaded, you can go to your downloads. In this case, you will see the file that you have downloaded. You can double click on it and start the installation process. Once the installation is done, you have the opportunity to launch the program. And once you launch the program, you get this interface. So basically, with this interface, when it starts, you have this interface where you'll be required to enter your user credentials. So, for instance, I've just logged out from my initial login that I was already logged in. So, if I start uh, the Cisco Packet Tracer again, I get this prompt and I'll be asked to provide my user credentials. And with my user credential, I just come to the Networking Academy and provide the credentials that I use in setting up my network. So in this case, I go ahead and then go ahead and provide um, the credentials that is needed. So once I'm done with that, I can go ahead to log in and I'll be required to provide a password. So I can go straight and then log in. Once I log in, I'll get this interface. Now, we discussed this in class. It's quite unfortunate. Some of your colleagues will need further explanation. So, quickly, you think about as for the features here, please, this is the menu bar, this is the title bar, so you can go ahead with the features and look at the features that are necessary. You can watch other videos if you want to. And I know when you get to your networking class, you'll be able to do much more about this. But to build a basic network, which you are doing, basic home network, so you have the laxity to provide title or build information about what you are building. So here, we have home network. And once we have this home network that we are building, it's basically an inscription of what we want to do. So we can go ahead to select once we have this. Now, once we are clear about the type of devices and networking device that we want to employ, in the case of the example that we cited in class, I want to quickly go through. So we need some sending devices and receiving devices. So in this case, we go with computers. So we pick two computers. We just want to have a very quick one. I already informed you about the complexity of how you want your network to look. So you can go ahead and then choose your devices. Then once we have the devices and the components down here, and we have selected two computers, we need um, a, a, a host device, which we have already discussed. If you want to build topologies like star topology and other topologies that we discussed, the kind of component you select. So in this case, we need a central host device to have a star topology. So in this case, we are going back to the component where we have networking devices, and then we just want a switch which will give you the component to connect the devices. Now we come to the cables. We already know how to select cables, whether we are using light devices, so we'll go in for crossover cables, and if we are using unlike device, we are going for straight to device. So in this case, we are going for devices. You can also use the auto um, cable selector to give you the kind of cable that you want to select. Sorry. So in this case, we have selected our cables, and then since we have this device as a central host device, we can confidently say that we are talking about the star topology as we discussed in class. So the next thing to do is to configure the network. Now we know that to configure two devices on a network, you need some sort of protocol that will indicate how data can be routed or can be addressed. So in this case, the IP protocol is very necessary in this sense. So we need to put all these computers on the same network to be able to um, address themselves or send packets between themselves. So in this case, we need to have one network. So which network are we building? We quickly want to have the a class C network, which gives an IP like 192.168.10. And these, you know that every network has two components, okay? So the network component and then the host component. So in this case, this is the first computer, so we want to just go ahead and then assign, let's say, one as an IP. And then on the second computer, what do? We want to also assign 192.168. You know that they are all on the same network, so they are supposed to have the same network ID. So in this case, we are assigning two. Don't forget we spoke about IP conflict. If you decide to assign same IP on the same network, then we talk of IP conflict. So in basic terms, one, we now know that this is going to be the respective IP that we are assigning for our network. So if I come to this computer and then I go to the desktop and go to the IP configuration, don't forget we spoke about the DHCP, which gives a dynamic configuration and a static configuration. So I'm assigning the IP that we have agreed to assign to this computer, which is 192.168.10. That is the network ID, and then the host ID is 1, and the subnet mask is automated. I think this will be further explained in your networking class. And once we come here and do same by assigning the host ID to this computer, then we are sure that we are going to have this network done. In this regard, if we try to have data transmission among these computers, it is very obvious that we will have a successful. So if you look at this page, we have a successful data transfer. And if you want to go to the networking terminal to ping, try to use the ping command to be able to send aid, to send packets. Then we know that once we are on the host ID 1 and we want to send packet to host ID 2, which is the other computer, once we do that and we send the request, then we can see that data has been transmitted. So in this case, we know that our network is working. Now, don't forget we also discuss in class that should in case that we want to be able to um, add a networking device that can give us the access to be able to route data outside these .NET .10 network that we built, then we necessarily have to add devices that give us the capability to route outside our networks. So in this case, we are going to choose a device router which have the capability of routing data outside network. So if we add this net router and we connect a cable to this router, we just have to make sure that this is a network. So this very cable that is connecting the router must have the same networking ID. Now, don't forget I showed in class that once you position the cursor on this, you'll be able to see the Ethernet port that is connecting to the network. So here we are able to detect that the fast internet 00 is where we're supposed to do our configuration. So if you come to the configuration and you have fast internet 00, it means this is very network that we have to connect our or we have to assign as our IP to be part of this network. So in this case, we are just assigning the same network that ID that we assigned to all the computers. So we just go ahead and then we have assigned .1 to computer 0 and .2 to computer. Here we just want to assign 100 because we have already learned that in our IP assignment, you can assign between a host ID between 1 to 255. So once we get this, we know that now this system is basically on the same network. Now, one thing we have to know is that the port that we are trying to configure is turned off by default. So we need to turn the port on. And once we turn the port on, we will see that our network will fully connect. And this simply means that we will be able to have data transmission among the devices. So once we try to connect, we see successful connection, and we are waiting for these to turn to green, the amber to turn to green, to give us the indication that the router is also fully connected. Once it is fully connected and they are on the same network, then basically we can go ahead to transmit data from one device to another. So here we see that there is also a successful data communication between. If we want to simulate this situation, if we simulate it, we see that there's a perfect data transmission, packet transmission among these devices, and this is exactly what we have demonstrated. Now, one other thing that for the basics or for fundamentals, you need to understand, we said that if you want any of these device on this network to be able to route outside this network, then it is very important that you go ahead to basically assign the gateway, which we discussed in class, to the gateway. You configure a gateway to the individual computers, and then we know that the gateway basically has to do with the IP that routes data outside. So in this case, we are going to use the IP of the router. So we come to the router and to the individual computers. Then we look at the configuration. We know we are doing static configuration. Don't forget, we said that we can go to any of these places to check how we do that. But when we go to the device, uh, when we go to the device terminal, we are supposed to be able to see this, and we know that the default gateway is supposed to be the IP for the router, and we know that the router has an IP of 192.168.10 and then .100. So in this, we know that we have assigned a default gateway to this very computer, which simply means that if this computer want to send packet outside this network, the .net .10 network, then it must use the gateway which we have configured to send packet outside the network. So basically, this is how home network is built. I think we went through this process in class, but to those of you who are still having challenges, I give this to you. Kindly go through and go ahead with the project that we have promised ourselves to deliver. Thank you very much, everyone. I would like to end this short discussion here. Thank you.